connected. Okay, good afternoon students. So after a very long time I am coming to meet you. So I hope everyone is okay, everybody is okay, everyone is doing fine. Okay, so I will be taking up one portion from your IT subject, that is the part 1, which means the employability skills. So there you are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters. So those 5 chapters I will be covering for your syllabus. This chapter I was supposed to cover also in your class 9, but somehow that has not happened. But now in your class 10, as there is no escape, you have to appear for your board exam and the questions are going to set from the board. So you have to know the basic things about these chapters. Okay. So let us begin. Our first chapter is communication skills, and today I will be doing session 1. So session 1 you will be having the various methods of communication. What are the different types of communication you will be learning. So now regarding communication, you know that is the exchange of information, exchanges of messages from one person to another. So communication, the method of communication, they are having the entire communications are having 4 elements. So the 4 basic elements for communication, they are the communicators. Now communicators are the sender and the receiver. Sender means, suppose I am communicating with you, so I am the sender and you are getting the communication, means you are listening. So you are the receiver. So these are the 2 elements. Other 2 elements are the message that is communicated, means what I am telling, my content, that is another element. Another element is the medium of communication. Now for this communication that I am doing, means me and you all, this communication medium is internet. By the means of Skype, by the means of a multimedia, I am communicating. So this is the 4th element for communication. Now communication can be divided into 2. The communication process is divided between communication process are of 2 types. One verbal, another non-verbal. Verbal also includes the written. Verbal means written as well as oral. Verbal means written as well as oral, whereas non-verbal means apart from written and oral, the other means of communications what we use. So I am going into details. So first, when this communication process, the communication process, suppose it is 100%, verbal communication consists only 35%, whereas non-verbal verbal communication consists 65%. So our entire communication, whatever it is happening, 35 is verbal, whereas 65 is non-verbal. Next, now when you are asking what is the difference between verbal communication and non-verbal communication, verbal communication means what is said, what exactly I am talking about, that is the verbal communication. Right now our verbal communication is the message that I am conveying to you, what I am teaching. I am teaching you on a subject regarding this. So this is the verbal communication I am doing to you, and non-verbal communication is how it is said, how exactly I am communicating this message to you. So that is included in the non-verbal. So verbal is what is communicated, what is verbal means what is communicated, non-verbal means how it is communicated. That means the body language. The first thing, that is the body language, means how I am acting, how is my voice, how you are able to hear me, how perfectly I am making the pronunciation, and what kind of gestures I am applying to you, and what is my posture, I am standing or sitting or I am laying down. These are all included in the non-verbal side of the communication. Now, another property of verbal communication is, verbal communication we can say that the language is very important. So, the language is must in verbal communication. Now, language can be conveyed in two ways in case of verbal communication. Language are communicated in two ways. One is called denotive, another one is connotative. Now, what is denotive and what is connotative? Denotive means, suppose I am telling I am hungry. Now, I am hungry means whatever it means by the use of dictionary, whatever is the meaning of hungry is exactly what I am trying to say here. Okay, I am hungry. So, that means I need food, I need to eat something, I am hungry. So, that means the literal meaning of whatever words I am using, that is having its literal meaning. So, that is called denotive, means the words that I am using for my speech or for my message, that words are of its literal meaning. The words are of literally the same meaning, that is called denotive. And connotative means, now the connotative depends on the sentence. If I am telling I am hungry for knowledge, now I am hungry for knowledge, here I am not hungry for food or something else. Here the meaning of hungry is not its literal meaning of wanting food. Okay. Here the meaning of hungry is connotative, means it depends on the sense of my language, sense of my meaning. Here I am hungry for knowledge means I want to gather more knowledge, I am in search of knowledge. Here it means that. So, connotative means which is not its literal meaning. You have to understand the meaning. Okay. By understanding my sense of language, you have to understand the meaning of the word that I am using. So, that is connotative, means the words are not of its literal meaning, whereas denotive means the words are of its literal meaning. So, that is the difference. Next coming to the non-verbal communication. So, the non-verbal communication means how it is communicated. This non-verbal communication depends on the body language. Non-verbal communication depends on the body language. Now, the body language means the posture, the gestures, the expressions, the tone, voice quality, okay. So, body language includes these all. Body language means the posture, whether the person who is communicating, that is the sender is standing, sitting, laying down or moving here and there, or standing in a tilted manner, what is the posture. The gesture means doing different movements, okay, doing different movements by, like I am explaining, whenever I am explaining I am using my hands, to explain. So, this is my gesture. Expressions means the expressions whether I am making any kind of funny expression or anger expression to communicate my message to you. So, the message is conveyed more clearly with my expression. You will understand whether the thing that I am talking about is funny or it is very serious or it is something to make anybody angry. Now, the tone and voice quality is also in the body language, that is in what pitch I am talking. Okay. Means if I am shouting too loudly, if I am screaming, then you won't be able to understand exactly what I am telling. If I am talking too softly, then also you won't be able to hear what exactly I am talking. So, I need to maintain my voice quality when I am taking a class, when I am standing in the middle of the class, I am taking the entire class, I am trying myself to be audible towards every one of you. At that time, my voice quality should be sufficient, so that standing here my voice can clearly reach to the last bench, whoever is sitting there. Okay, so that is the voice quality. So, these are the factors. Now, this chapter is very easy, you just have to remember point wise, like what are the things, so that whenever the question comes from this side, you will be able to frame your own answers. So, you do not have to worry too much about this this portion. So, just understand this thing, and if you feel it is better to write it in this way, so that you can remember it like a key points. So, that whenever you are opening for your revision, you can just get an idea, okay, like these are the things I need to remember. So, in this way you can just write it down. So, now another type of communication which has been mentioned separately in your chapter, in the chapter of your book, that is visual communication. Apart from verbal and non-verbal communication, there is another type of communication which is called visual communication, means communication that involves the eye, your vision. Okay. So, those kind of communication depends mainly on the visual symbols. Okay, like you are traveling on the road, you are watching the signboards, you are watching the traffic light. So, those are what? Those are also a kind of communication. Those signboards, those traffic light, they are actually giving you a message. A signboard showing a school sign that means trying to tell you that drive slow because the school is ahead. School is ahead means children will come out. So, there you have to drive slow. So, with that simple picture, you are getting a message communicated that you need to drive slow, but no one is actually speaking there, nothing is written there, only a picture is there. That picture conveys a message, and that message is conveyed through your vision. Pictures, graphics, signs, charts, so these are all included in visual communication. Now, these visual communications are having some positive sides as well as some negative sides. So, the positive side is this communication is instant, specific, clear and zero ambiguity. So, it will take just a few seconds for you to just see the signboard and get that message in your head, means you will get that message, whatever the person who has made that sign is trying to communicate, you will get it instantly without any wastage of time, and it will be very clear, it will be very specific, and there won't be any ambiguity. Ambiguity means difficulty in understanding the meaning. Okay. More content clearly, saving time. Ma'am, we can't see what you have written below verbal because there is a black box. Okay. এই বক্সটা হাঁটানো যাবে, এই উইন্ডোজটা সরিয়ে দেওয়া যাবে, এই সরানো যাবে না। Okay. So, you are asking what I have written in the সরানো যাবে না, না এইটার কথা বলছি, এই কালো বক্সটার কথা। This black box. Okay, if you are not able to see, I am just telling you what I have written here. For verbal communication, I have written the language is important. So, there I have written language, and under language I have said 2 points, that is denotive and connotative. Language are made in two ways. One is denotive, another is connotative. Denotive is D-E-N-O-T-I-V-E and connotative is C-O-N-O-T-I-V-E, connotative. Okay, I am trying to avoid this portion and I am trying to write whatever in this side of the board so that you will be able to watch. What chapters are going to come? So, mainly the chapters that has been already taught, excluding the chapter which has been deleted or omitted from your syllabus, those chapters. Okay. So, regarding the chapters, your subject teachers, specifically your subject teachers can only tell you, okay, mainly you just understand the first few chapters will be coming. Okay. And okay, let me continue where I was. So, now I am talking about the visual communication. So, in the visual communication, the communication is instant, specific, clear and there is no ambiguity, means zero ambiguity. And also the means you can convey a lot of things in a single image. For example, I have told you about that the school is ahead, drive slow, that thing, that signboard. The signboard conveys a big thing. The signboard conveys with a very simple image that two kids are crossing the road. Okay, with that simple sign, a big message is conveyed to you that there is a school nearby and you are requested to drive slow because children might be passing anytime. Okay, children might be crossing the road anytime. So, that big message is conveyed by the use of that single picture. So, that is why it is telling the content is more clearly expressed with less time. And it is easier to follow. You can easily understand something when the signal is red, means you are going to stop your car. Nobody is going to shout at you that stop your car. When the signal is red, you are automatically stopping your car. So, it is very easy, it is very quick to understand without any kind of misunderstanding. And there are also some negative sides of this visual communication. Those negative sides are, those negative sides that it has is usefulness to some extent. Okay, for some extent, okay, like visual communications are useful, not for everywhere. Because here if I am talking about a blind person, okay, a blind person who is visually impaired, okay, that person is not going to understand whatever communication you are making in the signboard or in the chart or in the picture. So, it is not applicable for everywhere. Okay, there are some limitations. It cannot replace the content of speech and written words completely. For example, you are reading a story, a person is telling you a story or you are reading the story from a book, but that story that you are getting, the entire content of the story that you are getting by reading the book or listening to someone who is narrating the story, that won't be substituted by a visual image. By a visual image, you can just understand the theme of the story like a poster. Okay, when you are going to watch a movie, you are watching the movie poster. By the movie poster, you are getting the idea what the movie is going to be about. You are having some expectation level. You are getting an idea of the movie background. But until and unless you watch the movie or you read the story of the movie, you won't be able to understand. So, only picture is not going to solve the problem. In plays supporting role in communication of our ideas. So, when we are communicating, for example, right now I am taking your class, I am making you understand one chapter. Okay. So, here I am taking the help of visual communication, I am just taking the help of visual communication. Here the visual communication is the board. Okay. I am using this board, I am drawing out some charts and these are like my helping hands. If I just keep on drawing the charts and tell you, say, like, see that chart, everything I have written in my chart, so you understand all by yourself, you won't be able to do that, because I am here the main person who is actually communicating the entire thing to you, and that communication is getting helped. Okay, it is getting a support with the use of this board. So, it is just a supporting hand. The visual communication is not everything. The visual communication only acts as a support, as a helping hand for the communicators. Okay, like for chapter I need to talk with your computer teacher once. After consulting with him, I can tell you the chapter, not right now, but right now I can assure you, obviously this chapter which I am teaching you right now, that will be included. Okay, that I can assure you, that is why I am telling you this. Now coming to the effective verbal communication, means now we are going to understand the factors that determine the effective verbal communication. Already the board is so little, I have to use also a fraction of this board, so it is a challenge for me. Okay, fine. Now, factors that determine the effective verbal communication, means factors for effective verbal means what are the things, what are the factors that we need to keep in mind, so that we will be able to give a very efficient, a very proper verbal communication. Whatever I am talking orally or whatever I am trying to convey in a written manner, that need to be effective, means it won't go flop, it should be successful. For that there are few points, there are few factors we need to keep in mind. That is the first factor that is important, that is active listeners. Okay, suppose I am communicating to you, but you all are not listening, means I will be only communicating from my side. So, it will be a one side communication, it won't get fulfilling, it won't be successful, because I am communicating, I keep on sending my whatever messages I have in me, I am keep on sending, but the receivers, means you all are receivers, you are not actually listening, means you are not actually receiving. So, my entire communication process will be going waste. So, active listeners means sincere. Okay, it has to be, the people has to be sincere, so that whatever I am telling here, if you are not listening to it sincerely or carefully, if you are not being the active listener, then whatever I am writing or whatever I am making you understand, you are understanding a part of it, and then you are understanding the rest of the part according to your own way, and in this way it will lead to confusion, it will lead to misunderstanding. So, ultimately the communication process won't be smooth. Next is the clarity on the background. No, this is the first chapter. This is chapter number 1, communication skills. Okay. The second factor is the clarity on background. Clarity on clarity on background means a mutual understanding about the purpose of the communication. Suppose I am again giving the example of my communication with you, you know exactly why I am standing here and exactly what am I trying to communicate to you and why we are talking, why am I talking and why you are listening. You know the background, because Here you know the information that I am teaching a part of your IT syllabus, and this IT syllabus you need to know, you need to understand, so that you can develop your own answer, and for that I am helping you, I am just acting as your guide here. So you know the background for this communication, you know the actual purpose of this communication, I also know the actual purpose of my communication. So this understanding, this background clarity, this is called the background clarity. This understanding is important so that I will be able to deliver my message in a proper manner, and you will be also able to know that why you are receiving the message, on what purpose you are receiving the message. So this is the background clarity. Next is conscience, clarity and directness. Okay, from here I am writing. Hold on. Now, conscience, clarity and directness in the message is important, because when I am trying to convey a simple message to you, I must only be on the topic. I must not get diverted to something else and keep on relating unnecessary stuffs inside that conversation, because if I keep on bringing unnecessary stuff inside that conversation, then the actual message of that conversation, that will get diverted, means you will ultimately get confused that what exactly we are listening to. Are we listening to a text of the computer, or are we listening to a story, or what exactly am I trying to tell you? So there will be a confusion. So whatever I am trying to communicate, I should be specific about it. I should be focused, it should be concise, it should be having the clarity, and it should have the directness. I must directly tell you the topic instead of beating around the bush, instead of going around here and there, and then in the end I am coming to the topic, not like that. I must jump to the topic immediately. I must tell you that this is the topic, this is the thing, this is the message I am trying to communicate. Okay. Next is the language. The very important part is language. Now, regarding language, the language is the most important part of verbal communication, whether it is oral or whether it is written. Language is the main important element of the communication. So here in the language, we have to understand that are we using the language correctly or not? Are we having the command over the language or not? So command over the language means, right now I am taking the class in the language English. So if I don't know English properly, I won't be able to take the class in English. So I must be having the command on this particular language, because this language is my medium of communication. So I must not be uttering wrong English, or I must not be making any kind of grammatical errors while, means too much, if I keep on committing too much grammatical error in my English, then you won't be able to receive what exactly I am trying to say. Maybe I will be trying my level best to communicate, but because I am lacking the command in my language, my message which I am desperately trying my best to give you, that message won't reach you, won't reach the receiver. So language command is very important for a communication, for a good communication. And appropriate word choices, because I am teaching you, now I am in a complete formal scenario. Okay, I am a teacher here and you are my students. So I need to choose those language which are appropriate to use in between a teacher and the students. I must not use the language that I use with my friends. Okay, where the language I used to talk, the words that which I will be using to convey my informal life. Okay, when I am talking with my sister or when I am talking with my friends, the way I will use those words I can't use when I am talking as a teacher to my students. So the use of correct words, appropriate words, okay, that is another important, that is coming under this language. Okay, now Measures to take effective communication. So, what are the things we need to do, we need to keep in mind so that we will be able to communicate in a better way, that is being prepared. So, before I come to take your class, I have gone through the text, I have gone through the chapter. What is this chapter? Means I made a preparation what I am going to tell, because I do not have a lot of time to keep on talking with you, keep on reading the chapter and then discovering everything and then telling you. I do not have that much of time. I am having a limited time, I am having just one class period time. So, within that class period time I have to cover this much portion. So, that is called being prepared. You need to be prepared before you start the communication. Okay. Next is anticipate responses. So, I have to understand whether you people are understanding what I am telling here or not. I need to anticipate, means I need to understand your responses. If I am telling something, I am checking, I am pausing for some time, I am trying to see whether anybody is having any doubt or not. So, that is called anticipating response. And if you are having any question, I am allowing you to question me and clarify your doubt. So, these are anticipating responses. Next is aware of the background. Obviously, before we start the communication, we need to give one introduction. As in the beginning of the class, when I started the class, I have given one introduction that hereafter I will be taking your IT section part 1. Okay, so you got the idea that what exactly I am going to do here. I am not going to here teach the literature, or I am not going to teach you grammar right now. I will be taking a part of IT. So, this is the background. So, I am making the background clear and then I am starting my communication to you. And avoid out of text references, that is when I am trying to communicate my message, I must not go here and there out of track, I must not go out of track of my context, I must always be on track. So, whatever examples and references I am bringing, everything should be related to my context, nothing should be out of my context. Okay. So, that is the thing, and that is the thing about verbal communication. And the last part, that is non-verbal communication. For non-verbal communication, we are having the paralinguistic. These are the terms you just need to remember from your book only. I am not writing anymore in the board. So, you can check your book, in your book only it has been given. For body language, what are the different types of body languages? I have already mentioned in the beginning, before rubbing the board, I have mentioned that body language includes paralinguistic. Paralinguistic means the voice. Okay, my voice is everything. Listening to my voice, you will understand whether I am talking in anger, whether I am talking in fun, or whether I am talking something very serious. By the tone, by the pitch, by the pausing of my voice, you will understand that. Next is, okay. Next is eye contact. So, when you are talking to a person, it is very important to maintain your eye contact. They say when you are going to appear for any interview, you must not put your eyes down. You must always maintain the eye contact, because when you are maintaining the eye contact, you are giving the impression that you are confident, you are honest, okay, you are strong. So, your entire personality is reflected through your eye contact. But while in an interview, if a person is keep casting the eyes downwards, that means he is or she is definitely hiding something. When we hide something, or when we are lying to somebody, we will feel awkward to make eye contact. We will always try to avoid the eye contact, because eye is called the mirror to the soul. Okay. So, whatever going on in your mind, it gets reflected very easily through your eyes. People can study the eyes. So, eye contact is another important thing. Next is postures and gestures. Means what is your posture, how you are standing, and what kind of movements you are making. So, everywhere you can't make the same posture. The way you are talking to your family, when you talk to your parents, when you talk to your siblings, at that time your posture, your gesture will be different. When you are talking to a teacher, your posture and gestures will be different. When you are talking to your boss, your postures and gestures will be different. So, we maintain different postures and gestures when we are with different people. So, that is important, that is another etiquette, that is a manner. Next is the facial expression. My facial expression will tell whether I am talking in irritation level or whether I am talking in a peaceful level. So, that is expressed with my expression. Okay, whether I am comfortable or not, that is well expressed with my expression. And if my expressions are good, then you will be easily connected to what I am telling. But if I am conveying the message with a very irritated mind, I am not even interested, I do not even feel interest to teach it. If I keep on teaching that topic like a kind of forceful manner that I have to teach, then you will also slowly lose the connection with me. Okay. So, that is why the expression is very important. And the next is touch and haptics, means kind of formality like handshake or giving a pat, okay, that the touching thing. When we communicate, many people after finishing their conversation, they handshake with each other. That is called a formality. Formality in handshake is there, namaste is there, okay. In different custom, there are different kind of movements of touches happens. Then is chronemics, that is the sense of color, that is, it is said that when you are sitting in a green room, the green room is always painted in green, because green actually gives a kind of effect in your mind that soothes you, okay, that soothes you, means it makes you feel a little bit calm. While as red is a color, red will make you more tensed, more energetic, okay, little bit vibrant, whereas white also symbolizes peace. So, color also matter while we are communicating something. Okay, so these are the basic things of non-verbal communication. So, I hope I have covered my chapter for today's class very well. If there are any other questions, you can ask me now, or you can go through the chapter once, and if you are having any doubt regarding this chapter, you can ask me in my next class. Okay. Okay then, that is all for my class today. See you again very soon.